Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and I'm gonna go over the best deck so far since the new expansion. Played a lot of Hearthstone today, like 13 hours of straight Hearthstone. We were able to hit Legend with our Plague DK, which did really good against all the Highlander decks, which was expected. Well, Excavate Plague DK, but tons of decks that we saw. A lot of good stuff floating around. Highlander, DragonDruid, #1. Really good deck, really good deck. A lot of new cards. The new Highlander Dragon card, Infinite Dragons. Who would have known it's good? Infinite Dragons. Who would have known? Very, very good stuff. From there, we have, of course, Reno, which is really solid. The hero power is insane. The poof is crazy. The fact that your opponent can only play one minion the following turn's insane. All of the new dragons are good, and the synergy cards like the Spine-tailed Drake, the Desert Nest, Take to the Skies. I mean, there's just a lot of really solid stuff in this deck, along with Topior. So it has all the dragon stuff, it has all the Highlander stuff, it has Topior, which means it runs a bunch of nature stuff. This is my particular build, and I do run the double embrace of nature. I know it's a Highlander deck, but you're going to be mulliganing for this card. You're going to be looking for this card with aquatic form. You're going to draw like crazy. Most of the time, you're going to draw at least one embrace the nature before you're going to be playing like an 8 mana Highlander card. So you don't really get caught up with Embrace too much, but if you don't like Embrace, just take it out for literally anything else. But I like double Embrace because hitting a double choose one and finding the Forge card for your Ignis is huge. So yeah, Highlander, DragonDruid, a real deck, and it basically can outvalue most other decks. Taking a look at Elemental Shaman. This deck is very, very serious. The best card in the deck is Scar the Catastrophe, which is Battlecry, deal 1 damage to all enemies, including face and minions. Improve by each turn in a row you played at Elemental. This entire deck is literally all elementals. There's 2 spells in the whole deck, which is Cold Storage, and you use this on your own minion, Scar, to be able to generate another Scar so you can play another Scar. So you Scar and then freeze your Scar to get another Scar. And then the other spell in the deck is going to be the Trusty Companion. You can play this on an elemental to draw an elemental. This isn't something you keep in the mulligan because on turn 2 you just want to play an elemental. This is something on turn 4 or 5 where you play an elemental and then juice another elemental to be able to do that. But yeah, the entire deck is minions, very easy to play, very, very straightforward deck, and it's really, really good because of Scar. Scar is like, if without the Scar, this deck is bad. But with Scar, this deck is a real deck, and it kills you very quickly if left unchecked. Some really neat new elementals is the Eroded Sediment Battlecry. If you played an elemental last turn, discover an elemental from the past. Really fun card. You can do a lot of wacky things with it. You have the Mine Cart in here, which is Rush Overload 2. Battlecry, if you played an elemental last turn, don't overload. So it's always a 3 mana 4/5 with Rush. Literally never going to get overloaded from this guy. You have the Dang Blast Elemental, 4 mana 3/3 taunt. Death Rattle, deal 2 damage to all minions except friendly elementals. Really solid against any deck trying to go wide on you. You have the Living Prairie. This card's nutty. If you played an elemental last turn, summon 2 3/3 cows with Rush. Really, really solid card here in regards to stats. And then you have the Azurite Giant, which is cost 1 less for each turn in a row you've played an elemental. Again, most of the time this is going to be very, very cheap. Taking a look at Demon Hunter. This deck is crazy. This is probably the hardest deck to play correctly out of all of the decks we're going to go over. I've died on turn 4 or 5 to this deck multiple times. The win condition revolves around this sharpshooter here where it says after you play a Naga, deal 2 damage to a random enemy and then draw a spell. And then it's play a spell, deal 2 damage, draw a Naga. And it just goes back and forth. And there's a lot of cards in the deck where they're very cheap, like 0, 1 mana, 1 mana, 1 mana. And most of this stuff draws Nagas or discounts Nagas or discounts spells or generates coins, is attacking when you play a spell. It runs Sage, which discounts other things that are at one. I mean, they play like 10 cards in one turn and then you draw momentum and then it costs 0 and then you're doing 4 damage with that. I mean, this deck is just really absurd. Again, it's a combo deck. So like just playing the cards in the deck, it's not a pure paladin deck. You gotta chain cards together. There's a thought process that goes in a deck like this. So please don't yell at me if the deck isn't good. I promise you the deck is good. Moving down to probably the first deck that's gonna get nerfed. It's the Excavate Warlock. This is the Sneaky Snake deck. The 4 mana 5/5 snake that takes 10 health from your opponent and gives it to you. Cracked. You use the Brewmaster to bounce the snake back to your hand, or you could use the Celestial card, or you could use Zola. I found that 2 Brewmasters was more than enough You don't need to play the entirety of every bounce card in the game. They bog down your hand. You want to play just a nice, well-rounded deck that can win, which also has Snake in it, which also can bounce, but you don't need to make it the whole deck. We run the Anub with, of course, the Forge of Wills. We run most of the control package. We run basically every Excavate card we can. We did have to cut some stuff, so I went with the 1 Mortal Eradication to be able to fit in a 1 Doom Chicken and Gigafin with Sargeras, which has really helped out a ton. I even run Blood Mage because it's really good with the Smokestack, so you can go Blood Mage Defile or Blood Mage Smokestack to be able to do 2 to everything, which is really nice. You may be asking, where's our boy Gary? Unfortunately, I could not fit Gary in this particular deck. However, if you want to play Gary, you're more than welcome to take something out for Gary. But yeah, this is the way I have it built, and we had like over a 70% win rate with this particular deck today. It did really well, and the Snake is actually just cracked. The last deck on the list is the Plague Excavate DK, which I hit Legend today with because it was, I wanted to save hitting Legend until we get a new expansion. It makes it a lot more fun and really exciting. So some new cards in the deck. Of course, the entire excavation package. We run Pile of Bones because every time we excavate, we get another pile of bones. We run the Harrowing Ox, which says if you've excavated twice this game, your next card this turn costs 7 less, which is really good with stuff like the Titan Prime and really good with stuff like Pit Boss if she's not discounted already. I know it's a Plague deck and you're wondering where the Chained Guardian is. I did not like this guy in the deck because the reward for the excavates would basically resummon this every time over the Prime. And I wanted to summon basically the Steel Death Rattle card if I needed this card, or the Prime every time. So by the time you hit 4th Excavation is basically by the time you've drawn Prime and played it, or the Pit Boss. I don't want to keep summoning Chain Guardian. I know it's pretty good summoning a Chain Guardian because it has Reborn, you attack, you heal 8 or whatever. But I like the way it's built here. If you want to play these guys, you're more than welcome to. I don't know what you cut for them, but you can play them if you want. Oh, we also run Frost Queen Syndragosa because she's only the 1 Frost instead of 2. So that's quite nice. So with that, those are the best decks that I have seen so far and that I have played. Feel free to leave a comment in the section below if there's something out there that I haven't mentioned that's looking real good for you guys. But so far, these are the standout decks for us. With that, of course, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.